Hi guys, in today's tutorial we will see increment and decrement in React.js. So basically in this tutorial we are using the concept of hooks. So without wasting any time, let's get started. First of all, I have to import React. I am using fat arrow function, const app is equal sign, and this is the fat arrow function basically. And here I have to export default, and here I have to write the name of that component, which is app. So here I have to return something because this function would return anything. Return, and here I have to write curly braces, and as I have to use multiple elements, that's why I'm using React fragment. So inside React fragment, first of all I have to take a div, and here I have to write the class name as main div, and inside this div I have further a div, and this div is basically class name, and its class name is center div, and here I am going to use h1 tag, h1, and inside h1 I am just going to show anything at the time being. I am going to show just hello to show you that how its structure is basically looking. And here I have to take a div, and this div name is class name is button div. Inside this div we would have buttons basically, and here I have to take two buttons, button, and I am taking the name as incnum. I am going to copy it and paste it again, and here I am just writing decrement, decnum, Control S, and let me see that how is it looking like friends. So I'm just using it, as you can see that now it is looking awesome. Here we have basically two buttons. One button is for increment and other button is for decrement. And here inside of hello let me show you the numeric value. I'm just going to use it as 1, and you can see that here it is showing as 1. You might be thinking that how all the buttons are basically showing here and the design. Let me show you the CSS that I have already done. This is for main div, and here I have this CSS for center div, and here I have h1 tag, and here I have button. You can see that whole code is for button, and here if I hover on that button the color would be green. So this is another div which is just for buttons, to display the buttons like flexbox. So this was all CSS. So now I have to use here the concept of hooks basically. And why we are going to use the concept of hooks? Hooks is just going to use, first of all I have to write const, and inside const we have basically two variables, val and setVal is equal to useState, and inside this useState I'm just going to show 0. Now I have to write here curly braces, and inside curly braces I have to use val, Control S, and let me show you how is it looking. Hooks cannot be called at the top. So there was a mistake because the hooks is always used inside the main function basically. So I have to use the concept of hooks inside that function. This is the main function of that component. Control V. It is not showing. Let me write again. It was not copied. Val set val is equal to, and here I have to write useState, and I'm going to initialize the value as 0. Const, oh, there was a mistake, spelling mistake. Const, no. Let me show you how is it looking. You can see that the initialized value is 0, and if I write here 10, you will see that here it is showing as 10. So first of all I have to initialize it as 0, and here we have two buttons basically, and at the first button which is for increment and the second button which is for decrement, and in both of these two buttons I have to write functions basically. Whenever we click on that button, on click, I have to call a function. I'm just writing incnum, INCNO, inc number basically. So here I have to use the functions. I'm going to use simple function basically. Function, and here I have to write the name of that function, and here inside this function I have to use setVal. This is nothing but just updated version. So here I have to write val plus 1. Whenever this function is called, it will basically return. I forgot to write here return. So just copy it and paste inside that return. Function and functions names. What is the error basically here? So it is not going to return anything, sorry. It will just increment the number. Whenever this function is called, it will basically increment the value of that component, of that variable which is val, and it will increment the number by 1. So I am just making a mistake because this is not looking like a function. So I have to write here parentheses. No, this is a function, and all the structure of function is well defined now. And let me show you that how is it working. Whenever I click on that increment, you will see that the value is incremented by 1, as we have to use here hooks concept. I have told the hooks concept in my previous videos very clearly, so I hope you understood it clearly, and I suppose you came to know very well that what is hooks basically. So here you can see that whenever this button is clicked, inc number function is called, and this function is going to do nothing but just increment the value of that variable which is as well. Its value is incremented by 1 by that function which is known as inc number. And now I have also to write the value of that button, and here I have to write on click, and I am going to write decrement number, and here I am going to use the function for decrement function, and here the name of function decrement number, and here parentheses which are showing that it is function. set val, and inside set val we have basically val minus 1, and now I'm going to show you that whenever we refresh that, it is going to show 0 because 0 is initialized value of that variable. So whenever I click on inc number, you will see that the number is incremented by 1, and whenever I click on that decrement number, it is basically going to decrease the number. And you can also see that it is also showing the number as in negative, so I don't have to write the number in negative form, so I have to avoid that option. How can I do that? First of all, I have to check if val is greater than 0. If val is greater than 0, then do that work. And for the else case, else, you have basically nothing right now. I'm just going to use simple if, control S, and let me show you that how is it working. And whenever I click on that increment number, you can see that the number is incremented by 1 every time whenever I click on that button. And when I click on decrement number, the number is decremented, but after 0 it is not further decremented. This is just because of we have used this if condition. I'm going to write here curly braces so that it may not disturb your concepts. Basically, whenever we have single information or single line of code, after conditions, we don't need to write curly braces, because it will only understand that if that condition successfully follows, then the information that is basically going to show after that quick condition would be basically executed. And this is only for single line. If we have multi-line of code, depending on that condition, we must have to use curly braces. So in the else part, I have also show something, because whenever the user clicks on that button decrement, it is not going to do anything. The user might thinking that it is there is possibility that this button is not working. So what can I do? That it may show any alert that the number cannot be decreased from 0. So it should basically show here an alert, and in this alert it should show that the number cannot be decremented less than 0. So here I have to write alert, and inside this alert, first of all I am going to write here, sorry, the number cannot be decremented than 0. The number cannot be decremented than 0. And the main thing that I have forgot to write here, double quotations. You can also write single quotations or double quotations, it's up to you. Control S, and first of all you will see that whenever I click on that increment number, the value is incremented by 1, and whenever I click on decrement number, the value is decremented by 1, and whenever it is 0, and if I click further on that button, you will see we have basically alert here that sorry, the number cannot be decremented than 0. So every time I click on that button, it will show the same alert, because the number cannot be decremented than 0, as I have mentioned here. So this was the challenge basically. I hope you understood it clearly.